Folks, just wanted to say good morning to you. Welcome. So glad that you are here. It's a great day to be serving people, right? So anyway, and the other thing is I just want to compliment you for being here, for taking the time to invest some time into your business to try to do what you can to improve your business. So anyway, we're glad you're here. Looking forward to this presentation by Jolene Moore. If any of you guys have been to any of her presentations, you know that she's an outstanding teacher, but mostly because she has a lot of success to back it up from her own business that she has built very successfully. And the topics that she covers are things that are very relevant to things that she's done, but more importantly to a lot of you that are real estate agents. So we're glad to have Jolene to be able to be here today to talk about generating leads. Couple things, just so you know, if you don't know who I am, my name is Dave Redabaugh. I am an internet marketing coach with Cindy Bishop Worldwide. And a couple things that I wanted to mention just real quickly, guys, as we get into this presentation. Number one, please use the chat box. In fact, if you would, something that would really help us is if you could just weigh in real quickly. Just identify yourself on the chat box. Sometimes the information that is on the screen doesn't necessarily identify completely who you are. So just so that we know that the people that are wanted to be here, that have registered, taken the time to do that, if you could just weigh in. Thank you so much for doing that. Thank you for doing that, Melanie. Appreciate it. If the rest of you guys could, that would really be great. So the other thing too is, this is also something that I wanted to mention, that for those of you that may not know, Cindy Bishop has instituted a program, a coaching program that is of great benefit to a lot of agents who've been using it for the past several months. So I wanted to tell you that I'm going to share a couple of links in the chat box so that you have the information. So you know how to access it. The other thing is she also invites you, for those of you that have an interest in at least finding out some more information, to actually take some time to give her a call. And I'll put her phone number in there as well. As a free consultation, she can ask the questions, find out if the coaching is something that would be a benefit to you. So anyway, you guys didn't come here to listen to me. You came here to listen to Jolene. So Jolene, let me turn this presentation over to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it. So welcome, everybody. So like Dave mentioned, I'm looking at the chat box. So hopefully you can see me as well as the PowerPoint that I'm going to go over, the 50 ways to generate leads without breaking the bank. Now, what I will say to you is it's not going to be quite 50 today because we have an abbreviated time. And this is 30 minutes, right, Dave? Are you there? So anyway, so it's an abbreviated time span that I have to go over this information. So I'm going to go over some key things, and then I'm also teaching this face-to-face in a class next on the 24th. From 11:30 to 1:30 here in my office. So if you want to help, expand on it a little bit more, and there's going to be a few more ideas with that, then we'd love to see you guys face to face. So like Dave said too, if you can put your first and last name in the chat box so we know who attended, that would be awesome, because it does allow me to follow up with you. If there's anything that I go over that you guys would like additional information on, then I can provide that to you as well and know how to connect with you. All right, so
hey, Jolene, just real quick,
Yep.
could you give me the date again of when you're doing the in-person one, so that way I'll go ahead and put it in the chat box for you, okay?
It's the 24th, October 24th from 11:30 to 1:30.
11:30 to 1:30. Okay, good. So, all right, good. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we're going to, just jump right in and talk about, ways to generate leads. Like Dave said, I am part of a coaching program as well. Like Dave was mentioned with Cindy, it's helped my business tremendously over the past 3 years, and has really helped me grow. First year I was in coaching, I think I grew 50%. So what I've done now is have the ability to kind of some of the ways that I generate leads, but it's going to be a little different than the way you guys need to because of our audience and who we're targeting. But some of them are similar, so I'm going to go over and share with you some of the things that I've done. This is also a presentation that I got from my coaching program, and so it's going to be helpful for you because I know it's been used in other areas, not just in our area, and been successful. So one of the things that I will tell you is an All About You form. This is a form that I think could be very beneficial for you guys to incorporate into your process and in part of your business, is having your clients fill out a form like this that's basically gathering information about them that's going to help you stay in touch with them, during the transaction, but beyond. And that's really what the key is follow-up for realtors. I think at one point I had heard a statistic that 12%, less than 12% of realtors follow up after a closing. And that is really, could be such a bread and butter part of your business if you use it and utilize it. So this form allows you to gather some information about the client to be able to have touch points to follow up with them, their birthdays, their anniversary, their children's names and their ages, what some of their favorite things would be that can be used as gifts or, ways to do, pop by and go and see them another time and be able to bring them something that you remember that they really liked. We have a birthday program, and I'll get into that a little bit later, and I'll tell you a little bit about ways that you can try to incorporate that and make that as part of your business as well. So again, this is a form that I can provide to you guys electronically, and then you can just edit it, take out my logos, and add your own, and make it part of your business. The other thing is that my coaching program, and I'm really big on right now, is creating lists. And when I say that, it's about creating a list that's going to be able to help you be able to access that information very quickly without trying to always think about who you need to be touching base with. So creating your favorite client list, and it's going to range from depending on how long you've been in the business. If you've been in it quite a few years and you have a lot of past clients, then you may look at like doing a top 50. If you've only been in it a few years and your transactions haven't built up as much, you may want to try and include every client for now, because any one of those can be a potential referral source for you. So you want to create a list so that you have the ability to be staying in touch with them, like using that form that I just showed you. Same thing with a vendor list. A lot of realtors I know have like contractors and flooring people and different people that they're going to be using, when they're putting on a listing, or if they have a home, home issues that they may want to make sure they're taking care of, like maybe someone's buying and they're going to look at doing something after they move in, and you want to try and help the client. So you want to have that list prepared and really know who that is, because I do have several realtors that will say, do you know of anybody? I'd say that's part of your business, is you want to make sure that you're starting to create that list, and so you have it readily available and that you're going to be able to, one, contact them to help your client, but two, then start to the reciprocation, is you're referring to them and you in turn, would hope for them to refer back to you. But one thing I will say about lead generation is having the mindset about giving, and the more you give, the more you're going to receive. And that's, almost in every aspect of our life, but especially in business. And that's when I think my focus shifted, and when my business started to grow, was really thinking about like working with realtors. What can I do to help you? And that's one of the things that I do now is teach classes, is I'm trying to help you guys grow your business. And that's my way of giving back, to help you. All right. So next one, catering to the list. So here's some things that you can do for those lists. Have client appreciation events. There are ways to do client appreciation events. I know a lot of times people get very scared about them and they're nervous. Is anyone going to show up? What I would say is you just start the event and not worry about potentially how many people are going to come, because no matter what, if you get anybody there, that's someone that you saw that you wouldn't have seen otherwise. You can do these at a larger scale, you can do them at a very small scale. Cox Farm is a very popular fall location. The thing about Cox Farm that's so tremendous is you can set up a table. You only pay for the clients that actually come. So if you have 3 clients come, you're paying $15 a client, and that's all you paid. If you have 100, then you're paying 100 at $15. So they don't charge you for what you don't use. Like I'm looking at doing a movie theater. I'm going to do Frozen 2 in the fall. And that is a little bit more expensive, and they require you to pay no matter what, if the people come or not. So you really want to make sure you're going to be able to fill that. So that's something you may want to do with a couple of realtors, so that you guys are making sure that you're going to fill that movie theater. So ways to do client events at a very low cost. Creating a personal budget for past clients. That's something that I'm starting to get into a little bit more, and that's something I do as part of my coaching program. Is we have a budget that we turn in every month, but sharing with them. And when I have a client that comes to me, one of the first questions I ask them is, "What's your budget for your monthly payment?" And there are many that are like, I really haven't thought about that. That's something that you guys can really help them with, is kind of helping them figure out what do they need to be looking at to really create what that monthly budget looks like, so that then we can then equate that to a sales price. So helping them through that process, creating a vendor of the month program, that can be, doing videos with them. That could be, having them give away something free to your clients for that month, whatever it may be, but creating kind of a, where you're highlighting potentially that vendor during that month. And then a birthday program, like I talked about a little bit earlier. There's, systems called Banner Season, Send Out Cards. Those are online systems that you can create a birthday card to be sent to them. You can send them gifts that way. We've had various resources that we've used to be able to have that birthday program in place. So one thing I'll tell you, you need to use that All About You form to get the birthdays, so you have that information. But then also being able to work with a lender, for instance, like we started now when we work with clients, we send out a week before the birthday, we send it to the realtor saying, here's so-and-so's birthday, it's coming up. Or we can try to pull a report that gives you all the birthdays for the clients that we worked with. So that's a way for you to get that information if you haven't been using, that All About You form. All right, so one of the biggest things that I changed in my business was calling. It is so easy for us to email, and emailing is just not the same as creating and picking up the phone and calling somebody. And that's really creating that connection and that relationship, and having a system to be able to follow up with them on an ongoing basis during the transaction, but also after. Because as you stay connected with them after, that's when they're going to remember you, and they're going to remember when they're talking to someone at work, or they're talking to someone at church or the gym that's thinking about buying a home, that they're going to keep your information in mind and know who you are, because there's a lot of clients that forget the realtor's name, unfortunately. I'm sure you guys know that. So you want to make sure you're staying in touch with them, and you want to call. Because, I've done classes and we've talked about follow-ups and things, and they'll be like, oh, I did this and this. And I'm like, did you ever call? Like, say I sent an email. I sent out this blast email. Did you ever then follow up with phone calls? And so many of them haven't. So it's really important that you focus on picking up that phone and giving people a call. Now, I will say texting, I know, has really grown. And I think it's like the text, the reaction to text is like vastly higher than emails. So if you are going to, what I would also say, if you're going to try to connect with them other than a phone call, is texting can be a great way to do it, because I do have seen that many people respond much quicker to those than it does to an email. And I can tell you that emails get lost. I'm sure you guys seen that. So it's really, making sure that they see the information when you're sending it to them. And this is, kind of talking about what we just said. It's a little joke here is, running into an old friend. I bought a house. Congrats. Didn't you know I was an agent? And they're like, oh no, I forgot. And that's what you don't want to happen. You want to make sure that everyone remembers who you are and what you do. So you got to keep that out there. So here's another thing is, if you have a relationship with an insurance agent, a lot of insurance agents do annual calls to their clients and check in with them to check on their policies, make sure that they're well covered and nothing has changed, since they, put the policy into place. And that is when you can ask them to be able to ask that question, are you planning to buy a new home or an investment property this year? That could be part of that insurance agent's follow-up, and then be able to refer that to you when you have that relationship with them. So you want to try and create those connections to have that. Sly Dial, this is something you can, gives you the ability to make phone calls much quicker. And what a Sly Dial is basically is it automatically goes into their voicemail as opposed to ringing, so that if you wanted to send like a blast voicemail to several clients and wanted them to just know, like, say you're having a client event, right? And so you want to send them a message and say, look out for our client, our event, the invite that's coming out next week, or it's coming out tomorrow, something like that, or broadcasted just sold, or open house. There's ways for you to be able to, get these numbers. There's different systems out there to be able to get some of those numbers to be able to market to people that you're going to be doing open houses to in that neighborhood or around that local area. So that's something else you can think about. And they do texting. So you have the ability to reach them and via voicemail as well as texting. All right, so think about too, this is something that I've been working on myself, and it's not something I think a lot of people are comfortable with, is they don't want to feel like they're kind of hounding the people that they work with and telling them what they do all the time. But it's really important. I tell this story often, but, one of my coaches talks about how she was wearing her badge, stating she was a real estate agent. She went into a Starbucks. The barista struck up a conversation asking her about the market and what's happening. They started talking. They continued to talk, and that barista became a great referral for that real estate agent just by having the badge and being able to open up that conversation. So when you do go to different businesses and you're, taking, advantage of a service that they provide, think about letting them know who you are and making sure that you're letting it be known what you do and how you could potentially help them and help any of their clients. And so that, again, talking about like that vendor of the month or something like that, or a client event coming up, when you have events or you have like highlighting a vendor, that gives you the opportunity to be able to share that information with other people that you may not know as well. But it gives you, again, you're giving them something. You're giving them like, they're talking about, when are you supposed to open your hose bibs, to make sure they don't freeze? That could be a vendor that you're highlighting, a plumber. So you want to make sure that you're providing information and value to them and educating them, and then in turn, again, it will come back to you. So think about those things and how you can approach that when you're out, and what could you be providing to them, and in turn for them to be thinking about you. All right, and so model centers, that would be, potentially model homes. A lot of people ask me, how do you work with builders? And I'm going to get into that a little bit later. But it's definitely about just kind of creating relationship with the sales agents that are in the builder sites, so that you make sure that they're aware of who you are should they need your service down the road. And there's some events that you can do with builders that we'll talk about. The other thing is thinking about divorce attorneys. Unfortunately, as we know, the divorce rate is quite high. I work with a lot of clients here that are going through divorce, that they're either going to have to sell their home, or one of the spouses is going to buy the other out, and then that other spouse is going to go and buy. So there's a lot of opportunity to be able to help clients in that situation. So again, when you're visiting a divorce attorney, think about what you can be providing to them. You could offer to teach a class to the attorneys. You could offer, a service to where you can do CMAs for them when they're going through that, the separation process and figuring out what that house might be worth. So thinking about what kind of services you can provide to them to help their clients, so that they can then, again, keep you in mind when it comes time for them to be able to be looking for a realtor for one of their clients. Open houses, open houses, when I will tell you, in the spring market, it started out a little slow for me the first 2 months of the year. And that's one of the things I did, is I went out to meet new agents. I went to open houses and would drop off little goodie bags and things like that. So open houses, obviously for you, or give you the opportunity to be able to meet, other new potential clients. And that would be, you can, as you all know, do it on your own listing, or ask, in your brokerage for people that are available. There's ways, to try and, you can do a video about that property. You can, we have different reports that you can put in there, like a walking report, like here's what's available to be be able to be walkable, and again, it gives you a score. Here's a report that you can do on schools. So there's things that, myself or other lenders could potentially provide to you to be able to put in the open house to help you, give you a little bit different type of materials to be able to engage with that potential client a little bit more. So I would say every agent I talk to who has been super successful, that is the way that they really started and continued to keep doing for many years. So if you're not doing it, or you're not doing it on a consistent basis, but here's the other thing. When you do it, it is about follow-up, because I can't tell you how many realtors I've talked to who do the open houses and then they don't follow up. And that goes back to what we were talking about, making the phone calls, sending the text, sending the materials that's going to help them, provide them some education and some value to them to show them what type of agent you are. And that is going to be the key, is the follow-up. So you've got to make sure you're doing that when you do those open houses. Mailings, start doing a mailing, and that kind of goes back to those lists that we talked about at the beginning, where you're creating a list. Start doing a mailing out program, evidence of success, a letter of the heart, a tip of the month, a video. Evidence of success, what that means is something that you've done in your business that has helped one of your clients, that kind of separates you from other realtors out there, that gives you a success story. A letter of the heart is a letter that you're writing or a video that you're doing that talks about something a little bit more about you. It shares more about you as a person. Like I did a letter of the heart about my retirement planning, how I'm behind on my retirement planning, and I met with my financial planner and figured out what I needed to do to get back on track and make sure that we're set, for the future. And I kind of shared a challenge saying, I'm admitting I didn't do a great job and I'm behind, and here's now what I'm doing. Are you on track? Have you been taking care of that? Do you need a referral? Things like that. And that's a way that you can kind of share that information, and it helps them learn a little bit more about you. The real estate, the tip of the month, that's something you guys, again, it's about education. I went to a social media class a few months ago, and one thing they said is that you want on your social media is 20% of it should be real estate and 80% is about solving a problem. Figuring out what your client looks like, who's your audience, and what do you need to do to be able to help us solve a problem for them, and really help them zone in on how you can be a resource to them, and then throw in, some of the real estate as well. And that's really what the letter of the heart's talking about, is you're sharing, tips and things and challenges that you might have incurred, and how you overcame them. So those are some mailings that you can think about doing. And like I said, depending on your, length of time and how many clients you have, you could look at doing a top 50 that you send this to, or you can look at, doing all your clients until you start to grow that a little bit more. Really, this is something else I shifted in my business, is really asking. I know there's a lot of, people, including myself, and a lot of agents and lenders who don't ask for the business. And that is really the key thing, is making sure that you're constantly asking. What we're trying to start working on is kind of setting the client up from the beginning, saying, here's what we plan to do. Here's our process. This is our promise to you. And please let us know, if we're not satisfying that throughout. And then ask them to rate us. I'm like 1 to 5, how are we doing? How are we taking care of you? And if it's a 4 or 5, fantastic. If it's a 3, what can we do better? And that's kind of, then you're kind of setting them up for at the end, when you've achieved your promises and you've gotten them to closing. And now you can ask them, do you know somebody that's going to be looking to buy or sell their home in the next 90 days, 6 months? If you want to get specific, this is how I do my business. It's all based on working on referrals and working with people like you, so I really need your help. So just finding a way that's comfortable for you to ask for that referral. Current client referrals, the CCRs is what we call them. And that's asking someone while you're in a transaction with them. So while you're working with them, being able to set them up to be able to ask them for that referral. Also keeping track of every lead. It's kind of like what we just talked about with the open houses, is you got to track this information, so you create a follow-up plan to be able to stay in touch with them, so you make sure you convert them. And you want to make sure you're tracking that so you know what your conversion ratio is, so you know how many leads you need to be generating. And also making sure you write a thank you card. Thank you card to the client, and then a thank you card to whoever may have referred you for that client. And it's a handwritten card. I try to do 10 a week. So someone you met with, someone that referred you, somebody you closed a transaction with, maybe it's their anniversary of the year since they settled. Whatever it is, I try to find 10 reasons why I need to reach out to someone and thank them. So making sure that that's part of your process. And again, that's going to create that opportunity for the referral down the road. All right, so this is what we're kind of talking about earlier about builders. You know, everyone likes to eat. You know, I know they say this a lot. Whenever you have food, people are going to come. So think about, you know, when you go back to that builder, thinking about if they have any standing inventory, throwing a barbecue for them, you know, a cookout of some sort, hosting an event for them where you're inviting people to try and get them into that that community and create that relationship and that connection with the builder. You know, same thing for you, throw a backyard party for yourself, going back to that client event. That's going to help. And one thing you can do too when you're hosting a client event, like with this movie that I'm going to be hosting, I let people bring friends. So we, you know, we'll have a limit maybe of like 6 people per family, but let them bring people. Because I had a ice skating party at Tyson's client event a couple years ago. I think I got 2 or 3 referrals from that, and that turned it into actual transactions by letting them bring some of their family members and friends. So when you have like it at your own home, that opens the opportunity because the cost would be more cost effective to be able to invite them to bring people. Also thinking about the businesses that you frequent, dropping off pastries or some kind of food to them. So again, you know, passing out your information, passing out any kind of piece of value that you have that could help educate them or potential clients that are going to be coming their way. All right, looking for business where you go to, you know, within your church groups, within groups that you share your hobbies with, you know, if you're in a Jeep club or the Women's Council of Realtors, you know, whatever it may be, you want to make sure that you're really engaging with those people within and making sure that they know what you do. You know, it's kind of like when my kids were younger and they started getting into sports. And, you know, you get all the emails from the team and stuff, and I didn't use my work email for many years. And then I thought, what am I doing? I need to make sure people are aware of what I do. So I changed it to my work email. And when I would respond, people started to learn what I did. And on the sidelines, they started to ask me questions and really got engaged with what I do and ended up, you know, working with several of the parents and becoming clients. So again, it's really making sure that you're engaged and they know, you know, what you do. And yeah, this is like you, and making sure that they know because you want to engage with them and make sure that they're going to work with you is another little humor. You've been asking me 20 questions and tell me what you do already. All right, here's another thing you could do is like if you go to, you know, coffee houses like Starbucks or Pete's Coffee here in Fairfax Corner, and say you spend quite a bit of time there, you like to go there to work, you know, get out of your house and have a kind of, you know, away from all of your distractions, put up a little sign and say free real estate advice. And you're sitting there in a public, so you don't have to worry about, you know, people trying to, you know, that you're not comfortable with because you're in this open, you know, public environment. But again, it's a way to be able to potentially engage with people within that coffee shop that you may not have otherwise talk to. So create that little, you know, sign that you can put up. Also making sure you're staying in touch with your top 50 clients, contacts in person, having them, you know, have a coffee. You know, if there's someone that you feel like is a really strong referral source for you, you could try to have like a standing coffee or lunch appointment with them like once a month. Like we're going to meet every Thursday at 8 a.m. and make sure that we're engaging with each other. And it doesn't have to be all business. It's all about just, you know, and think about what they may be doing for business and what you could potentially help them with and how you can be a resource for their business beyond just for you. So thinking about, you know, creating those ongoing appointments so that, one, you're getting those face-to-face appointments for yourself and then potentially engaging and helping with other people. All right, and then connecting at events. You know, there's a lot of events in our area, a lot of communities, a lot of areas that you can be a sponsor, you know, hire a food truck to, you know, help get people out. And again, you can try to team up with others to be able to do some of this, you know, set up a table with a shelter, you know, go to events that aren't just real estate related. And again, that will allow you to potentially, you know, engage with others and create those ongoing connections and relationships. And say you go to some of these events and you meet them, you know, you can, you know, potentially like get their email, kind of connect with them. And if you feel comfortable and confident going forward, set up a one-to-one meeting with them. Or if you go to a networking event, you know, take their card. Don't necessarily try to sell yourself right then, but then try to set up a coffee down the road. And that's when you learn more about them. And that's when you start to engage and really help figure out what you could do, potentially help them. And in turn, again, we're going to talk about, you know, it coming back to you. And then, you know, asking for feedback, that's kind of talking about, you know, online. I really am focused on Google, so we're talking about, asking for feedback there, but it also talks about when we're talking about, rate us from 1 to 5, 1 to 10, getting feedback from your clients to know how you did and how they felt that the transaction went. So then it helps you be able to shift anything that you may need to, down the road, or what to change. So I thought this was really cute. Being a real estate agent is the least stressful career I've ever had, age 29. So I know you guys feel it. I feel it in my business. So again, this was a 30-minute brief presentation. I talk fast and a lot. So I hope that you found it useful and helpful and gave you guys a little bit of tips of what can help you, create some additional leads. And then, like we talked about, the lead generation is key, but the follow-up is even more, because you can create leads, but if you don't follow up and convert them, then the lead generation is really not going to do you any good. So make sure that you're following up on those. I am going to be teaching a lead conversion class soon, so we'll be sending out some information when we do that on ways to do follow-up and conversion. Actually, in November, so I'll be sending that information out to you. Here's all my information. If you guys have any questions, I have a few minutes. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have if you want to put it in the chat box. And, if you need anything, there's all my contact information, and I'm here to help you in however I can.
Good. No, thank you very much, Jolene. This is good, you guys. I would also ask if you guys could weigh in. I mean, just if you have comments about this, if you have questions, maybe some things that Jolene had talked about that you've tried, if we can just get your feedback, would be great. So if you can just take a little moment and take a look at the chat box and see what you might be able to contribute to this, it would be awesome. By the way, we have this, we will be able to keep a copy of the chat box. So if it's something you guys are interested, I can send it to you as well. Schedules and availability of other training. So James, that will be, I did put the one in person that Jolene has. One of the things that you may want to check out, James, is for other Cindy Bishop classes, go to cindybishopworldwide.com. Also, I'm going to drop in another bit of information into the chat box about the coaching that we are doing. So let me go ahead and send that to you guys real quickly here. So let's see here. Jen, vendor participations, partnerships to co-sponsor events is great, along with doing highlight videos. Good. No, thank you very much. Yeah. Did you catch that, Jolene? Did you see Jen's comment?
I did, yeah. And also, if anyone that's come on since we first started, if you haven't put your name in the chat box and let us know you're here, we'd greatly appreciate it. Just helps us be able to, like I think Jen asked, will this PowerPoint be distributed, and I can, just so I know who's attended so that we can make sure that we do get this information out to you. That would be awesome. And, like Dave said, we have this in person in 2 weeks here in the office, and then I'm going to be doing one in November. I think it's November 14th, but I'll confirm that. And that's going to be more on conversion, and it's more like a follow-up plan. Like, here's the leads you have, and then how do you stay in touch with them, and some ideas and brainstorming on how to do that.
Good. I also had, let me see here. I'm going to go ahead and send this. So,
Dave, is this recorded? It is, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. It's being recorded.
Because someone just asked, will there be a replay? So yes, there will. They did record this, so it will be available via YouTube link. So again, if you put your name in here, then we'll know who attended, and we'll be able to send you the link of the YouTube as well as the PowerPoint that I used.
Exactly. And the other thing too, if you guys notice, I did post this up here, but this will also be on, Jolene has a page on the cindybishopworldwide.com website, and we'll be able to put that in. It'll be on her page probably within the next day or so. Okay. So good. These are good comments, you guys. We appreciate it. Let's see here if there was anything else that people had mentioned. Good. Thank you, James. Appreciate you weighing in. All right. Well, Jolene, I don't know if there's any more comments. You guys go ahead and jump on. Otherwise, I think this was great. It's really helpful. And again, take advantage of the fact that this is going to be an in-person class that is scheduled for 2 hours. So you certainly will be able to get a lot more information if you decide to go ahead and go in person, which is on the 24th, right, Jolene? Yeah, the 24th.
Correct.
At Intercoastal Mortgage, which is at 4100 Monument Corner Drive in Fairfax, across from where you turn in to go to the Government Center, at the Intercoastal Mortgage office there in Fairfax. So from 11:30 to 1:30 on October 24th. So good, you guys. No, we appreciate you being here, and we will look forward to you being able to take advantage of some more of these as they come along. And again, I would take advantage of going to Cindy's website, cindybishopworldwide.com, to check out what other classes that are coming up that you may be able to take advantage of. So, well, good.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Jolene. Thanks, you guys.
Okay.
Appreciate you being here.
All right.
All right.